From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Mike Norvell in Atlanta. Corey Clark hung out with him. He'll let us know how that went. Recruiting, transfers in possibly, transfers out, landing elsewhere, and a wrap on a busy, successful weekend for your Noles. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. weekdays. On Mondays, you build a burger, everybody. You give them the specs. They'll build it for you. Half-pound Black Angus beef, only $8.99. Comes with a side dish, straight fries, curly fries, tater tots, side salad, freshly cooked potato chips, onion rings, potato salad, broccoli. Pick any one of those along with your half-pound Black Angus burger. It's only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Don't forget tomorrow, trivia night. It's going down. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you hit the thumbs up? Give us a 5-star rating and review as well. You can wait till afterwards if you want us to earn it. I think we'll earn it today, Corey Clark. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Had a pretty long weekend, but an eventful weekend. So it's good times.
So what's going on? I saw the tweet from the future Mrs. Clark. So was Ira in town? Was the O's and the Bravos going at it? Were you treating the boss man to a nice weekend in the A?
I wasn't treating him to a weekend. He stayed with a mutual friend, but yeah, I treated him to the Braves game.
Okay.
I think he came up Friday night, so hung out him a little bit Friday night and Saturday night, and then we all went to the Braves game on Sunday. Not the Orioles game, the Braves game. And the Braves won in 12 innings, so it was a humdinger. And what was awesome about it is, number one, it was an 11:30 a.m. start time, which is really goofy. Yeah. It's never happened before. I don't remember ever a game starting that early. But then just for no real reason other than like a TV schedule. But Brady, God love him, their team won all three of their games on Saturday. Nice. And the way it worked was, if they won their game on Saturday night at 6, they would play the number 5 team in the country for 14U. And this is the truth. Like, they're ranked 14U at 8 in the morning.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there. His team is winning 4-3. This is on Saturday night, mind you, not Sunday. And I'm like, all right, they're up 4-3. The bases are loaded, 2 outs. Do I really want Brady's team to get an out here? So I can get up at 6 in the morning, drive an hour to go watch them get pummeled. And, of course, the kid flew out to deep left field with the bases loaded, so they won, and then they played on Sunday and lost badly.
You woke up and you did the whole dad thing, drove him out there?
Yeah. So I woke up at 6, drove him out there, and then luckily that park is only about 15 minutes from the Braves stadium. So after the game, Brady got a ride home because I knew he would. I knew they weren't advancing. And then I drove from there to Truist Park and met up with Ira and my friends and Stephanie and watched the Braves prevail. And it was a World Series preview.
Oh, probably. All right. Hopefully. How'd Brady do against the number 4 team in the country?
He struck out. He only got one at bat because they got perfect gamed. The kid threw a 5-inning perfect game. And the thing is, man, Brady's team had a really good weekend. They're a good team. They played really well, but they're all kids that live near each other. This team, and it's not an excuse, but this team is made up of kids that live in Nevada, Kentucky, California.
IMG, like mercenaries.
Essentially, yeah. Their flights are paid for. Their hotels are paid for.
Boo.
They play for this team and from all over the country. And
Gross.
One of the kids, they have 7 kids that are already committed. One kid's 15 and 9 months. Meanwhile, Brady's 14. It's supposed to be 14U. And one of the kids that they played was 15 and 9 months, 15 years old and 9 months. And they had like an Arizona State commit, a Miami commit, an LSU commit, even though they're freshmen. It's all goofy. It's the world of travel baseball, folks. That's what you tune in for. Brady did not do well, but nobody really did. We got to get him going, though, Aslan.
We do. We
got to get Brady going.
We got to get the show going, too. We'll have Michael
Let's
Langston on here in the middle of it to break down the transfer portal prospects that were on campus this past weekend. Well, let's talk about Mike Norvell's visit to Atlanta on Friday. Corey read your story. that you wrote up afterwards. The only thing that really caught me of interest was him, and I didn't listen to the interview, which you guys can listen to on our YouTube channel. It might even be on one of the podcast feed that maybe Seminole Headlines is on as well. I don't know if I'm like seeing something that wasn't there when he was asked about the portal, and basically saying like nothing happened this offseason that he didn't see, he wasn't expecting. Like nothing came out, was a surprise to him. Like these sort of things are going to be happening, the influx, the outflux of players. I don't know how much of that was kind of like a cover for Joshua Farmer or like post-traumatic stress from Travis Hunter. Like, hey, listen, everybody, like I know what's going on. Like, so that was the only thing that I thought, Mike, I don't know if it was defensive or not, but that's the thing that kind of jumped off the page to me. But what did you take away from your, I don't know, it was 8 or so minutes you talked to Coach up there in Atlanta at the Fox Theater?
The Fox Theater, man, not in the like actual theater where like Willie Nelson would perform, but like in one of the side rooms, the salons they call it,
Nice.
The Egyptian salon, I think is what they called it. No, man, it was Norvell speak. God love him. He's not going to be all that candid in a setting like that. But basically, he was saying, and it wasn't that nothing in the offseason surprised him. Nothing near the end of the portal window surprised him. Or nothing in the window after spring really surprised him. Is I guess the point he was trying to make, as in,
his defensive tackle holding him hostage there for about 40
well,
hours. That surprised
I don't
him?
think it was that. I think it's more about not wanting to appear flat-footed with the DBs leaving.
Yeah.
And so obviously they had a kid in, and Michael will talk about that. The Tallahassee native from UAB,
Jaylen Key,
the safety that was in over the weekend that had a quote great visit. They had him in. They had Keon Coleman from Michigan State in. So they know that there are some holes that they could fill that would be good for the team. And so, but he's not going to talk in specifics. But yeah, it was good. It was fine. It was essentially a one-on-one. There was an Atlanta radio guy that was there. The 680 The Fan was there, so he got like 5 minutes or so with Norvell, and then I got like 6 or 7 minutes with Norvell, and then that was it. And Norvell gave Stephanie a hug.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, that was nice.
Sweet.
And said he was expecting an invitation to the wedding.
Oh, right.
But that won't happen. That would be weird, number one. But also, he was just doing it to be nice because actually he had asked me before we started. He's like, "How's engaged life? How's engaged life treating you?" I go, "It's good, man." I go, "She wants to invite you to the wedding." And so when he saw her, like an hour later, when we were getting ready to go to the actual inside the event, he came and gave her a hug and said congratulations, and then said, "Hey, I'm expecting the invitation."
Nice.
So, but he's just trying to be nice. He's a nice guy. He wouldn't come, and I don't think I would invite him because I want to be the star of the show.
Right.
I don't want people fawning over the Silver Fox head coach when I'm there, shirtless. What's the point of all? What would I have been doing for the last 15 months, Aslan, if Norvell gets all the attention? But so at that event though, it's for the people that don't know, it was a booster tour stop. They do it in 15 cities,
Sure,
something like that, 12 or 15 cities. The sentiment, the speech, the layout was very similar to the one I saw in Tallahassee. But he just does a really good job of getting people excited about the product. He really does. And so I thought that was I thought he did a good job there. He always does. He's good at those settings. He's good in those settings. Let's just say the previous two head coaches maybe weren't, but Norvell really is good there, and people do enjoy hearing from him.
Well, Jimbo just wouldn't go, right? I mean, when he was there, I think he was, or was he always just grumpy even when he?
No, he didn't want to be there. Like he made it pretty obvious that he didn't want to be there. He was never like, get away from me. He wasn't Saban, but he would hide out. He'd make it go as quickly as possible. Norvell will actually sit there and talk to you. He'll exchange pleasantries with you, say hello, take pictures, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just different. He's a little better at it, but I get it. The only thing that matters is who's better at putting points on the scoreboard and winning games. So,
That's right.
But Norvell has done, from what I can tell, he's really good in those settings. And Florida, he has a message that Florida State fans really want to hear.
How about his NFL draft comment? That was a nice little crowd pleaser, huh?
It was. He had three. He had the highest APR in program history. That got a big one. 2 years in a row, I think, that they've set the record for the highest APR in program history. Climbing, exactly right. Yeah. Then talking about beating the two in-state rivals,
Didn't say them by name, right? Didn't say them by name.
He didn't. Of course he didn't, man. He ain't playing that game. And then, about the draft, he's like, people were saying, man, what happened? Florida State only had one guy drafted. They only had one draft pick. What happened to Florida State? He's like, yeah, all the guys that were going to get drafted came back. So people got very excited about that.
As we sit here, I haven't spoke to Michael Langston yet. We'll drop him here in the middle of the show in a few minutes. But obviously they've got some needs they feel they need to address. They brought guys onto campus here, guys that are highly sought after. Jaylen Key has been to Alabama, has been to Ole Miss. Again, we'll get the latest from Michael here in a few minutes, but I think there was maybe plans to also go to Ohio State and Oregon afterwards, hoping that maybe he saw enough in Tallahassee and shuts it down and just decides to come back home. We'll see what happens with the receiver from Michigan State. But, is there any doubt in your mind they're going to get one of these guys, Corey? Is Mike Norvell in a groove, the synergy between he and the Battle's End that just makes you feel pretty confident that when they're going to be when there's a need that makes sense, right, they need somebody in the back end of this defense pretty badly. I think this speaks maybe more to Jaylen Key than it does Keon Coleman. But, there's maybe a little bit of doubt. But there's a big sense of confidence, I would think, that if they want these guys, they're going to get them.
Well, because I think they're going to be willing to do what it takes. And what that means in the year 2023 of doing what it takes. I know there are other schools that are after Jaylen Key, good schools, big programs. I don't know that there are big programs that, number one, maybe have the absolute ready-made time to play, like snaps that are available, but that need him as much as Florida State needs him. So you would think Florida State would do because what other options do they have at this point? And I asked Norvell about that. He did say, I asked him, basically specifically about safety, and he did say, look, we're going to be selective. He didn't say we're definitely in the portal looking for a safety, but we know they are. But he made a point to mention the Kirkland and Quindarius. Now, I don't know if they really think about Quindarius being a safety or not, but he did mention him. So, but that being said, I think that just the fact that he's a Tallahassee kid, Florida State desperately needs I don't use that word lightly. I think they desperately need a safety.
Yes, absolutely.
They're a top 10, top 5 team in the country. The first game is against LSU on national television. They're a championship contender. They need one. I would think. It seems like they have a very good shot. They would have the inside track, right, at Jaylen Key, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of need, for sure.
Need, and then maybe what they're willing to do to get him here. Yeah. Because if they don't, I guess I'd put it this way. I don't know.
Alabama lost one there. Wasn't Brian Battle? Isn't that the name of a guy that got drafted to play secondary for them? I think he might have been a safety. So I don't know. I haven't looked at Alabama's depth chart. I'm not as worried about Ole Miss, but I feel like when Nick Saban comes calling, that's a little bit of concern.
Yeah, I would just think that Florida State, I don't know that they would get outbid. I don't think outbidded is a word. For the services of a safety, because this might be the difference between winning a championship or not. That's how important this particular piece might be. And they have shown the ability to put the money where their mouth is, man. They've made investments in this team. And they just had 2 safeties leave. Now, I don't know how much one of them was going to play, and the other one had never played safety before. But they just had 2 safeties leave, and they have no depth, none. Yeah. So if they're going to make a run, they need another safety. And this would be a huge addition for them. And I would be surprised if he doesn't come to Florida State. I don't think it will be because, a better, let's just say, offer was made. I don't know that anybody else is in the market for Jaylen Key like Florida State is in the market for Jaylen Key.
Jordan Battle. Yeah, Jordan Battle, safety for Alabama. He got drafted in the 3rd round. Brian Branch, another safety for Alabama. He got drafted 2nd round.
I was going to say, I thought Brian Battle used to be like an administrator at Florida State.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So, well, those are 2 starters that they lost, so that seems like that would open up a door. But again, I don't know what they have in terms of what was behind them that was homegrown that would be able to step up.
And I would say that, Alabama's got dudes, clearly. But I would say this, maybe what would make Alabama more appealing. I mean, why else would you go to Alabama other than play? I mean, what have they done lately? But what would make Alabama more appealing than Florida State is you do have kind of like 2 penciled in starters at Florida State. Alabama doesn't, right? Like Akeem Dent you're going to have to knock Akeem Dent out. Akeem Dent's been a 2-year starter at safety. So if you're looking at the depth chart, you see that, and then you see how many snaps Shaheem Brown played last year. You're like, okay, am I going to have a real chance to start? Am I going to start over these two guys? Where if you go to a place like Alabama, who just lost both their safeties, you might think you have a real chance. But clearly, this kid would have a real chance to start at safety at Florida State.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, transfer portal's out. Bishop Thomas lands at Colorado. I think that's the third former Florida State guy that's landed at Boulder, out there with Deion Sanders, head coach Deion Sanders.
Who else? McClendon, Brendan Gant. I feel like there's another one.
Oh, yeah, Duke Coopers. That's 4.
Yeah, there's 4.
There's before. I saw a tweet. Should have vetted it. Sorry, that's what Corey's here for. And then Micah Pittman landed at Utah, which I think some people there was rumblings about him landing there, which is a little bit interesting because I was looking at their offense, just raw, rough numbers, and by every metric, Jordan Travis was a better passer than Cameron Rising. I think he had better completion percentage. He completed more passes even though he threw less. But they did lose their leading receiver, the Dalton Kincaid kid, the tight end that was pretty lights out. So he was their number 1 receiver. Their second receiver, Devon Vele, returns. He caught 55 passes, 695 last year with 5 scores. And then Micah Bernard's a running back. He was their third leading receiver. Jalen Dixon graduated. So they only returned like 2 out of their top 5, like pass catchers, if you will, if you don't count one of their running backs. So maybe he thinks that the door's open to be the number 2 receiver at Utah when the door's open in Florida State to be the number 2 receiver.
I was going to say, I feel like he already had the door ajar in Tallahassee. It was his door. Yeah. I don't know, man. You're going to go play in that offense for that, and that quarterback's a good quarterback. He's not terrible. I'm still mad about the Florida game, but he's a fine quarterback. But like you're going to go live in Salt Lake City instead of Tallahassee. You're going to go play on that team. I guess it's closer to his home. It's West Coast-ish. I know that Utah's not on the West Coast, but it's a lot closer than Tallahassee is. And yeah, man, I don't know. It just good luck. Hope he kills it out there. Hope he's healthy and plays and has a good season. Just still kind of a baffling move on his part.
Do you think the number 2 receiver for Florida State this year has 55 catches for 695?
No.
I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of. I'm not trying to defend the kid or anything. I'm not trying to dog the kid either. But
yeah,
maybe
but
he
didn't
looks
you say
at
that it was a tight end?
Well, no. Dalton Kincaid was their number 1 receiver. He had 70 catches for 890. Their number 2 receiver last year was an actual wide receiver who caught 55 balls for 695. So maybe he graduates.
But that's the number 1 wideout. Micah Pittman's not going to be a number 1 wideout anywhere that's any good. No offense, Micah. Right. Love you, buddy. But he's a slot guy. He's a number 2 guy. So what did their number 2 actual wide receiver have in production?
Money Parks, 26 catches, 414, 2 scores.
All right. And he had, 30 for 355 and 3 here, or 35 for 330 and 3? Yeah. So about the same. So good luck to him. Change of scenery. He likes those, apparently. Not mad. Really, I promise. It probably sounded like I am. I'm not. No sour grapes there. It's still just an odd decision. But yeah, it's, maybe he likes to ski, man. Maybe he just loves Utah for some reason.
Maybe he likes the Jazz. Maybe he believes in the turnaround they're going to have out there.
That's probably it, man. That could be it.
All right, let's talk to Michael Langston and get some recruiting news. But first, you didn't sleep well prior this weekend, everybody. It's Monday. You're dragging. Pop open a Vitamin Energy. Go to vitaminenergy.com, promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO, B-O-G-O, and you get an item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. 7 hours of energy, no sugar crash. Stuff tastes great, gives you extra benefits because there's vitamins in it. And if you're a student at Florida State, you can also stop by the Sunstop, Corey, in College Town. They're selling it right there, retail, y'all. Retail. Vitamin Energy moving up. So if you don't feel like ordering an entire box and using our promo code, it's all right. I mean, it hurts me a little bit, but just improve your life. Shake it and take it. Give it a shot. VitaminEnergy.com. It's available at the Sunstop in College Town. Might even be available at the Sunstop around you, folks, wherever you live. So give it a shot. VitaminEnergy.com, though. Promo code WARCHAMPBOGO, B-O-G-O. Make Monday a little bit better. Treat yourself.
I would also like to add real quick, Aslan, you probably don't have to be a student to go into that to go get it in College Town, right?
No,
Yeah.
If
You
you're in
can be a
town,
regular person,
Yeah.
but yeah, students, they're more. It's more students there than anybody else, but all ages are welcome.
Michael Langston talking recruiting coming up right after this. We'll talk about need second part. First part, let's get to Keon Coleman, maybe the more dynamic, explosive, bigger name of the two transfers that were in town this past weekend. Michael, what can you tell us about Keon Coleman, his visit this past weekend, and how Florida State's pursuing him?
Right. He visited Friday. He got there around, I want to say around 6 on Friday, and then he also visited today on Saturday. I think there's a slight thing of on Sunday, but they're leaving Sunday morning. Everything I've gotten has been pretty positive as far as how it went. Um, the way he was engaging to the connection of both the way he felt around the players, the way he felt like the fit towards FSU, and the specifics of what was covered in the fit there. And he knows. I think the main point was, hey, he's one of the missing pieces to, the wide receiver group that they feel like is a really good one, but they feel like he can kind of complete that puzzle. So I think they really did a great job of selling that, and also selling what their culture is like, and they already had a previous relationship with Coach David Johnson, but I think in Norvell as well. But I think this was more about selling him on what the being part of a productive program, and I think that's a big part in Keon's decision, and certainly returning Heisman Trophy candidate in Jordan Travis, having the explosive offense that FSU has, both running and throwing, and I think really specifically showing how they're going to utilize him in this offense. They did a really good job with this really early in the process of Jaheim Bell, and I've heard today same thing. They did a really good job just positioning what he's going to do and how he feels, and being very direct about what Norvell expects from his players. So it was very direct and honest. And the thing I got from Keon's family, Keon sources around Keon, was they were very direct about what they want and what they expect from players. So I think this directness and genuineness really hit the whole weekend off. And the feeling I get coming out of the visit is FSU feels like they did everything that they wanted to accomplish. Now we wait on the decision, or wait what's next as far as upcoming visits. To me, as far as I know right now, there's no other visits that I've heard, but we'll keep our ears to the ground and see if there's anything there. And I'll also have some notes later, maybe a little follow-ups on the visit on Keon and the other transfer in Jaylen Key.
LSU's in the mix. Has he visited anywhere prior to Florida State, or is Florida State the first place he visited, the only place he's visited so far?
Florida State's the only visit he's taken, and the only visit that's planned that I know of.
Okay. Very well then. Let's move along then to perhaps the more pressing need for Florida State.
Yeah.
Not perhaps, it's the more pressing need for Florida State, and that's getting a safety. Jaylen Key has already visited 2 SEC programs. There's plans to maybe go see a couple other programs. Do you think Florida State did enough this weekend to maybe convince him to not go elsewhere and shut it down and come back home, Michael?
I think this weekend, we kind of touched on this, I think, on the recruiting chat a while back, that I would not be surprised if he wasn't going to take the Oregon and the Ohio State visit. He's no longer going to take those visits.
Okay.
He's visiting FSU, and then he's visiting Alabama, and I think that's it. And then he said he's going to make a decision. I think it's FSU or Alabama. That's the feeling I get, because FSU, and I will say this, like, a lot of fans are freaking out, he's going back to Alabama, but here's the thing. He's visited FSU numerous times. This is a local kid that's from FSU. This is really, he got what he needed out of FSU, which is the really detailed official visit. And this is the first time Jaylen's cut his list down after visiting a school. He didn't cut his list down when he visited Alabama. He didn't cut his list down when he visited Ole Miss. He cut his list down after seeing FSU. So that tells you that's certainly a positive development with FSU. But at the same time, I think Alabama is certainly a factor in the race. They're right there, but going into the Alabama visit, I think FSU is the team with the momentum. If I was picking a leader, I would slightly lean more towards FSU because of what they accomplished from this visit, and the fact that he's now getting closer to the decision because of this FSU visit. That there's certainly, you read the tea leaves of certainly positive things, but certainly Alabama's still there. You just got to go through it. But I think FSU really set the gauntlet as far as how they greeted him, how they treated him like a part of the family. He really loved the energy from the FSU staff, and he really liked how FSU is going to utilize him. And I think another factor that people don't talk enough about is like at Alabama, yeah, you're a really good player, you can go in there, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be the starter or even get high level playing time. At FSU, I think he will get a lot of high level playing time because there's a weakness as far as veteran players. So get a guy that's productive like Jaylen, be closer to home, and it's easier. I think an easier way to get on the field more so at FSU than it would be Alabama from my perspective. But it really just depends on if FSU's done enough to win over and beat out Alabama. But I think they did everything they were searching and seeking to accomplish, where they showed him the fit, they showed him the culture, they showed he was around a lot of players this weekend too, so he could kind of see the coach and player relationship and if it fits his personality and his mindset. And he certainly gave off the indication it definitely did when we interviewed him after the visit. So I think it's right there, and now we just have to wait and see if they've done enough to get over that Alabama visit.
I don't want to get too cocky. I was talking to Corey on the podcast about this.
Yeah.
It just feels like, man, when Florida State really wants somebody in the portal, man, they figure it out. But this might be the biggest test to date because Alabama lost 2 of their safeties. I think maybe their top 3 to the NFL draft. So, like, this might be a real true test. But, I mean, as we sit here and talk about this, Michael, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just, the feeling is like when Florida State needs something out of the portal, man, they can make it happen. And so long as they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, like they probably, I would imagine, maybe even ahead of Alabama as we sit here and kind of think about where he's going.
I think so. I think so going into that. I mean, because like I said, he didn't trim his visit until he went to FSU. So that tells you the impact that FSU had on him. And I think it's significant because he was going to go to Oregon. He's going to go to Ohio State. I don't think that's going to happen. Here's my takeaway. Like, I think he feels very comfortable with the FSU situation. He wants to compare it to Alabama and see how he feels about them, if they can match, the way he feels about FSU. That's kind of my take of. So going to visit, I think they had the momentum. FSU does.
So I thought he's already visited Alabama. Is he going back for a second visit, or is this?
Yeah, it was unofficial because he had never been there before. FSU, like I've said, he's been there several times, and so that was like his first visit to just briefly check out Alabama. Now this is more of an official visit, and it's kind of tells you that we're near the end. He told me he's going to decide in like mid-May, so I think probably after this visit he'll take some time, take a week off, and break out and everything. You see what's best for him. But like I said, going into that visit, I think FSU has the most momentum with him. But Alabama's right there. I'm not discrediting them because they're really good, and certainly they lost some safety. So this will be the biggest test, as you alluded to, Aslan. So we just have to see. But I know going into this trip, I feel comfortable and confident, at least saying that FSU has the momentum in the recruitment.
All right. Let's keep it with defensive backs, but maybe, look further down the road. 5-star plus is a new designation used by On3 to really label and identify elite recruits for the 2024 class. KJ Boland's in the mix there. Now, apparently, Florida State really, truly might be in the mix for the 5-star plus athlete out of Buford, Michael.
Yep, they are. He grew up a big fan of FSU, so he certainly is very familiar with what they do. He visited early in the spring. Wouldn't tell us like FSU is definitely going to get an official visit, and then later, as things went on for the visit, as weeks went on, I've heard like he's mentioned FSU a lot more. I think Auburn's a big player. I think obviously Georgia is, because that's the team that most people feel that he ends up at, including myself currently. But I think FSU will get an official visit. He told me that straightforward. Text me and let me know like FSU will get an official visit. They're just working on the date. So it's a big deal. And we've seen what FSU does on official visits. Like, they're very unique of how they present their product and their program compared to other programs where a lot of it's focused on the productivity as far as the program, what they do, or some kind of connection that the player might have with that university. I think FSU, it's very direct. Like, this is what it is. but also very personable of where you can see like the brotherhood and the culture and what it's like. And then also they share just where the program is heading, which is kind of similar to other schools. But I think the uniqueness is how direct the coaches staff is as far as with these kids. And then just the players seeing the coaches player relationship is a lot different than a lot of places. It's everyone says like, hey, this place is like a brotherhood, but when you go to FSU, and this goes for just about every recruit that's there, you really sense that from recruits. Like they're saying it's real. So I think FSU uses a very unique approach with the relationships, but also where they're trending up as a program. So I think they've done a great job with KJ just building it. They're probably, I would say, third for him right now, behind Georgia and probably Auburn. I think Clemson's also in there, and then Ohio State as well. But I think they're certainly made a big impression, and that's why I think they're getting an official visit, because there's a comfort level he has with FSU that makes him feel good. I don't think it's just because, hey, I grew up a fan of that team. I think he really likes what he's seeing with the development of the program.
Before we let you go, Michael, it's May.
May 7th to be exact.
Yeah.
So
May 12th, somebody going to come hang out, come maybe move to Tallahassee?
I will be at Moore on May 12th, Friday. I'm expecting the arrival of a guy that probably people don't think exists in Dustin Hill, wide receiver, 2021 class, 4-star wide receiver. He's expected to be there May 12th, from what I've heard of checking this week with a couple of FSU contacts, that he is expected to be there May 12th. Now, he could have already gone through the early processes of enrollment, but I think that's kind of something, if they do, they're keeping it kind of quiet as far as doing it, but he is supposed to be there presently in person on May 12th. So that's what I expect. And certainly I'll be up there. Matt will be up there. So there's several visitors for next weekend. Colin Fox is coming back over for a visit. That's a 4-star target at tight end that they're looking at. 5-star tight end Landon Thomas is going to be back. That's an FSU commitment now. So I think there's going to be several visitors next weekend, probably around 5 or 6, maybe more, they're coming in for a visit. So got a lot going on. I'll cover that more later this week of who's coming, and then kind of what to look for.
You want to do a recruiting chat on Wednesday, man?
I'm down whenever they want to do it.
All
Just
right.
tell me.
He works hard. Hit the thumbs up for
Just
him.
give
Michael,
me the date. I'll be
there.
there.
Man, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Just give me a date. I'll be there. So, yeah, let's do it.
Get in on all the action over at mybookie.ag, and when you use the promo code WARCHANT when you sign up, you will receive an instant cash deposit bonus that can go towards any number of bets, whether it's money lines, spreads, point totals, futures, parlays, casino. It's all there. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere at mybookie.ag. Don't want to touch this Golden State Lakers game, but if you need some action to help you go to sleep later tonight, take the over, I guess. I just think it'll be more competitive, high one teens, like 115, 113, something like that maybe. I don't know about the 3 points spread. Who knows? This is such a crazy series. I will say this one, though. I'll go ahead and I'll take the Heat. I'll give out 4.5 points. They're just, I don't know what they do down there. Heat culture or whatever, man. They just, Jimmy Buckets in the playoffs. The Knicks ain't got an answer. So I'll recommend taking the Heat, giving out the 4.5 points. You, though, can bet anything you want anytime over at mybookie.ag. Just make sure you use that promo code WARCHANT when you sign up so you get an instant cash deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at mybookie.ag. Corey, let's talk hoops. Aslan wants to talk hoops.
Okay.
I was out of pocket this weekend. Shout out to Ira still doing all this stuff, even though he was out of pocket apparently too. I saw the tweet. I think our own Matt Lasser. I should actually give a shout out to Matt Lasser. He, I think, was not only at Moore hanging out with Michael Langston this entire weekend, but also stopped by the Tuck, or rather the basketball facility. Man, how cool. It was, I don't know, maybe it was because I was a little bit buzzed at a wedding, and I'm like, oh, man, look at the band's back together. Scotty Barnes, Terrence Mann, Raekwon Gray, Phil Kofer, Dwayne Bacon, Trent Forrest, all in town this past weekend. I don't know if it was impromptu, how much of it was planned. I mean, for all those guys to show up at the same time, clearly it had to be planned. I don't know how much forethought went into doing it, but it was awesome to see them all back here. And it's like, yeah, we're not a basketball school perhaps, but like we can play basketball. We did so recently. It was really cool to see them all back here. And I think Cam Corn was in the photo with one of the guys, so hopefully they're trying to rub off some of the 18 strong or the culture. Hopefully they can do some kind of weekend seminar. Hopefully they were able to pass it on to the kids. That was my highlight of the weekend.
I thought you were going to, when you brought up hoops, and that's awesome. That's really cool. I think that is good for the kids that are on campus to be reminded of, hey, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, these guys are still in the league. Like, it's not that long ago that Florida State was really good. We can get back there. And I liked it. That's like remember Miami football always had that feel, like when they were rolling, the dudes that were stars in the NFL would be on the sidelines on Saturdays.
Yep.
And it just felt like they embraced that whole life, and it permeated. Maybe you could get that back with Florida State basketball, but I thought you were going to bring up Matthew Cleveland.
Yeah, at some point we're going to talk about that. We can go ahead and talk about that now, I suppose. I guess according to ESPN, he was the best available player left in the portal, but maybe like 30th overall. So I don't know where that ranks with Primo Spears, but my favorite thing was, I don't know who tweeted out the news. Maybe it was the official Miami account. Maybe it was our On3 folks at the national level. But the first reply, and I don't like getting into the comment section on Twitter. Sometimes I do, but I try to jump out as fast as I can. But the first reply was, "This is the same guy." And it was a photo of Matthew Cleveland at half court in Coral Gables with the upside down U. And it's like, that guy 6 months ago did that. Now he's doing that. Yeah. Welcome to 2023, everybody. You want it, you got it. Player empowerment, everybody. Some collateral damage. I don't know, man. It's bizarre. I guess Auburn was in the running for him. He mentioned the fact that Larenega's done a really good job with all these transfers of late. They've all seemingly have become all ACC, all conference type players. I think it was the Jordan Miller kid that he specifically cited in the story that he gave to ESPN.com about, he saw the way he played year one in Miami and how he played this past year. So I guess maybe some of the development stuff is, favorable for him. But that's strange, man. Again, I don't begrudge a kid. This is the world we live in, but it just one day you're doing that and you're all about Florida State and the spear. And then it's like, never mind, I'm in Miami. And Daryl Jackson, I'm sure, was, spitting on a spear or, wiping his cleats on a Florida State logo maybe in a Coral Gables locker room not too long ago either. So why Miami though, Maddie? Come on, man. But hey, John Ruiz.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. You kind of roll your eyes at it. He's free to go anywhere he wants, clearly, and I'm sure he got a nice I don't know though. Maybe they just gave him life while it's stock.
Yeah.
Like he got some stock options and nobody's told Matthew what's going on. They assured him the stock's about to go roaring back up to like 10 cents or whatever that it is now. But yeah, I get why Florida State fans might be a little perturbed by it. Like, you leave Leonard Hamilton, and we get it. He won 9 games last year, and he just went to a team. He's going to a team that went to the Final Four. Yep. It just so happens to be a team he beat on a buzzer beater, celebrated like he just won a title. And then, he's not from Miami. Like, Daryl Jackson is from this area. Yeah. Matthew Cleveland's from Atlanta, so he has no real ties to the Hurricanes. And now he's going to be, he's just going to be a rival of Florida State. But that's, like you said, that's the world we live in. It's, unfortunate that you're going to have to cheer against Matthew Cleveland twice, but you all will. So I'm sure it will be. He'll hear it a little bit when he comes. I don't know. Number one, I just hope there are fans there. But what do you think the reaction would be when Matthew Cleveland is wearing a Miami uniform in the Civic Center and they announce his name?
Student section is going to boom every time he touches the ball, like Dylan Brooks is getting booed at crypto.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's basketball, and I don't think anybody begrudges him the chance to leave, right?
No.
Because he left an awful team. A team that was the worst in school history, and he's going to a Final Four team, and a team that was in an Elite Eight the year before that. So it makes sense. It's just, you're going to ruffle feathers when you go to a rival. So he's going to hear it once.
May 9th, 2022, MSP Recovery, the parent family of Life Wallet, stock was $10.08 a share.
Okay. Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
$10 a share. Okay, you're talking about a year ago.
Yes.
Okay, $10 a share. All right. What are we looking at now, Aslan?
Friday it closed at 55 cents.
Oh, well,
it is down 94.5% over the year.
Okay, so and the people that don't know, the owner of Life Wallet is John Ruiz, who is that, quote unquote billionaire benefactor for Miami athletics,
quote unquote,
that was the leading money giver for their NIL, all the NIL damage they were doing. A lot of it was through John Ruiz, and he's kind of a loud mouth. He's he's not a loud mouth. I wouldn't say he's a loud thumbs. He tweets a lot, and he was very, very happy about all the NIL deals and would publicize them that he was giving these players. And so I guess they're still in the Life Wallet business, Miami, but they have other collectives. They have to have other collectives. They can't just be rolling with him. But either way, I think we know that Matthew Cleveland's getting something for it, but also he's going to a Final Four team.
Yeah, and I guess Nigel Pack and the Nomir Chad kid, or Norchad Omir, sorry.
Yeah.
Not that sorry, though. Not just because I said your name wrong, but I got to be mean to you because you're from Miami. But they're coming back most likely, so that's a lot better of a core, if you will, than whatever was going to be here when Matthew left.
Yeah, I thought he'd go with Caleb to Memphis. Get the old band back together.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the sports. We'll build it up. Tennis saw their season's end. Women lost 4-3 to Georgia in the NCAA tournament. The men's team, which was 18th in the country, they lost to number 8 South Carolina in Columbia 4-1.
Yeah.
So we'll get them next year, boys and girls. Beach volleyball did what beach volleyball did, 32-9 on the season. They were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Corey, promptly dispatched of FIU, promptly dispatched of LSU, made it to the Final Four.
Yep.
Fell to UCLA. So,
it's the same.
It's Groundhog Day.
It's the same story every year, and I think they can win it though. It's like they keep losing. Don't they usually lose to USC?
Yeah.
But I think they're right there with those schools. But it kind of feels like I used to cover high school sports in South Georgia, and so what they would do in the playoffs is the South Georgia teams would play each other through the first couple of rounds in every sport, soccer, tennis. So like these South Georgia teams, their tennis teams, like let's just say, Lowndes' men's tennis team, boys tennis team, would roll through the first 2 rounds and then go have to play somebody from the Atlanta area and get smoked because you're playing the huge metropolis. And the same would go for tennis, golf, soccer, all the sports that are, metropolis-based sports where we're having a huge population and kids with a lot of disposable income, their parents make them these crazy good tennis players or soccer players or whatever, and you just don't really stand a chance. I don't think this is like that, like where Florida State, if they reach the level where they have to play USC and UCLA, they're going to lose all the time. Yeah. But it just keeps happening. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's like they're that far away, right?
No, they're Final Four. I think 2 years ago maybe, or the year before COVID, they made it, I think, to the actual championship game. So
I think they've done that twice.
Yeah, they've been on the doorstep. I think
you want them to break through.
I think last year they lost to Southern Cal, I think, in the actual championship game. So
yeah, so I get it's not like they can't compete. Like again, to go back to my bad analogy, the South Georgia teams would with the Atlanta schools in certain sports. They can compete. I think they can beat these Southern California schools. You hope. They're right there. I think you would say over the last, really since the sport was invented or made an actual NCAA sport, beach volleyball, I would say they're the 3rd best program in the country consistently. Yeah. It's just they haven't cracked through and won a national championship.
On the diamond, let's go to softball first. I hope that's – I want to put them in a position to celebrate them more than baseball. Softball finished the regular season 47-8, 13-game win streak. Corey, they'll be back in action Thursday in Notre Dame for the ACC tournament.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Hey, you want to host the softball tournament? Won't that be cool? In Indiana? Join in football. Until you join the conference as a full member, you don't get any conference tournaments.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. What are we doing? Has Tallahassee ever hosted the ACC softball tournament? I legitimately don't know that. I'm going to look that up. But that, as you go through what they did this weekend, I'm going to look that up real quick. But what are we doing? You don't get the right. It's cool enough. It's cool. You guys should just be grateful that your other teams get to play in a conference and get to compete for championships. You don't get to host things too. They finally take something out of North Carolina and they send it to Indiana. Anyway, go ahead, Aslan. Sorry.
Actually, we hosted in 2019.
Why do you got to bring up old stuff? Nobody asked you to
Last year
up.
was in Pittsburgh. The year before that was in Louisville.
So is it just is softball the only thing they move?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it's been otherwise.
Which is cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's been in Atlanta in 18, Chapel Hill in 17, Raleigh in 16, Blacksburg in 15. So.
Okay, so they make a point of softball of moving it around.
Yeah, it was in Tallahassee in 2013 and 2019.
But baseball, just get your butts up to North Carolina.
Yeah. So Friday night, 6-4 win. Louisville's got the bases loaded. They've got the nation's leader in home runs, Taylor Roby, up to bat. Yep. They bring on Kat Sandercock, who started the game. They brought her back on in relief. 4 pitches, punch out. 6-4 win for the good guys.
And that was the game after McKenna Reed came in and pitched to Florida's best hitter with the bases loaded in like I think it was a 1-run game or a 2-run game, and got a pop-up to the catcher, to Edenfield, to end it. Yeah, man, that's pretty cool to have 2 kind of sort of aces like that can come and get big outs in big moments like that. But that was back-to-back wins where the other team had the bases loaded and literally one of the best hitters in the country up, and your 2 pitchers got big outs when they needed them.
They followed that up on Saturday with a marathon that went 11 innings. 6-4 was the final again. Devin Flaherty, fan of the program, or friend of the program rather, with her first homer of the year, was a walk-off. So shout out to Devin. Big win on Saturday. Friday's win, by the way, clinched the regular season crown for the ladies. And then on Sunday, 2-1 was the final score. Catherine Sandercock got her 100th career win. I think she's the 4th Florida State player to ever notch 100 wins. So they will be the number 1 seed in Notre Dame in South Bend. 11 a.m., I think, they'll face the winner of Virginia-Syracuse. Again, Corey, they've won 13 straight. Peaking at the right time, feels like.
Yeah, you just never know, though. Who knows? The one time they won it all, they kept losing in the postseason and then having to win 4 or 5 in a row. I think they even did that in the ACC tournament, perhaps. But they didn't. I just think I don't know that anything is a really good predictor of how you're going to perform in the postseason. Anything that happens before the actual postseason starts is a good predictor. It's just cool to celebrate the accomplishments. Like, let's not worry about the postseason now it is the postseason. So now the next goal is just the ACC tournament. Go win that. That would be really cool. I think was that their 14th ACC regular season title? Something like that. Just an insane number. They are one of the best, obviously, programs in the country. They're the best ACC program that's ever been. And it's cool, man. It's just cool it's been a really cool, fun year. And no matter what happens later this month and in June, let's appreciate what they did in the regular season, because it's its own entity. Now things get different because it's the postseason. By the way, don't forget, I think Josie Muffley hit her first home run of the year. They won 2-1 on Sunday. And much like Flaherty, the second baseman, Muffley, who is one of the best shortstops, regardless of the sport, that Florida State has ever had defensively. You watch the plays she makes. It's one of those, man, when you watch a lot of, I'm going to say baseball. I'm not trying to be sexist, but that's the sport I watch the most, and I have a kid that plays it. These people that are just gifted they're running to their left. They field a ball to their left and are able to plant and throw in such a naturally smooth way, as if their bodies were created to do it. And there just aren't many people that can. She's one of those people. I'm telling you, she is as good a defensive infielder as Florida State has had since I've been doing this, and probably well before that. She's unreal as a defensive shortstop. And hey, she hit a home run too. She's coming on with the bat.
Well, Sydney Sherrill was like defensive player of the year. What was the third
but
base,
she was a third baseman. I'm talking about
yeah.
a shortstop with
Okay.
this range and the crazy hands, the footwork. And again, it's like when you watch a great shortstop, and you know how they always throw it just hard enough to get the person out.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's slow's running, they kind of just take their time. If somebody's fast running, they know they can only have the ball in their glove for a split second, and it's got to be out, and it's got to have authority. Watching people that do that well really is a treat, and she really is just special. I don't know how else to say it. She is a special defensive player.
Cool thing this year is, Florida State's third. They're 43-8. 47-8 now. UCLA was 47-4 before the week started. Second in the country. Tennessee was fourth. They were 39-6 before it started. Oklahoma's 49-1. They are on a 41-game winning streak.
Man, isn't this sport fun?
I like it though. I like it though. Like
are they peaking? Are they peaking going into the postseason?
There's no way they can sustain this. This is
That's
madness.
right. They're due. Nobody wins. What would that be to win the rest of their games? They would win 3 in the conference tournament, 3 in the regional, so that's 6. 2 in the super regionals, 8, and then 4 more. 4 or 5 more in the College World Series. So you're talking about 13 more wins, or 12 or 13 more wins. So they would end the season on a 54-game winning streak?
Yeah.
Like a DiMaggio streak? Come on, man. They are due to lose.
Oh, and they'll watch them lose a game in the regional or something and just go rip off.
And then just go crazy.
9
Remember they
straight
did
or
that
whatever.
the year they beat Florida State. They lost to that Cinderella team that had
James
that really
Madison,
good pitcher.
or
Yeah.
something, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they lost their first game there and then did not. Or no, then they lost the first game to Florida State, but still won it all.
Yeah. Patty Gazzo's always got them coached up out there. And then how about baseball? Way to, maybe start something. I shouldn't say that. But Friday they win 4-2. Titan Kamaka with a home run in the 4th and then a double in the 5th to the home run was a go-ahead, and the double gave them some insurance. They went on Friday night 4-2. Think Jackson Ballmeister got kind of touched up in the first inning, but otherwise Cruz tied a career-high 7 innings pitched. On Saturday, they win 9-0. Connor Whitaker goes 8 innings, 3 hits allowed, 7 Ks. He, too, I think, struggled a little bit in the first inning with some hits allowed, and then otherwise just kept them off base. Diamez Ross, Cam Smith with RBI triples, James Tibbs with a 3-run homer in that 9-0 win on Saturday. Then on Sunday, 13-3 victory. Andrew Armstrong soaked up a lot of innings.
Yeah.
They had 5 runs in the first inning with 2 outs. So 7 extra base hits, 13-3 was the win. They swept Mercer. I don't know, was that the first sweep of the year? I mean, I would have guessed it probably is. I don't have that in front of me. I probably should. But Jacksonville's next up. None of these really matter, though, because I don't even know if I think they might be mathematically disqualified for making the ACC tournament. But they're still fighting out there, and they swept the series, so good job, Link.
You should look that up, Aslan, while I talk real quick.
We
probably should know if they've been mathematically eliminated. I don't think they have been, have they?
I mean, there were several games behind going into the last set they had, and they lost that series against Notre Dame. But,
so they've got all they got left is they got 6 games left, so they could maybe get back in there. They all they have to do is play number 2 Wake Forest this weekend, and then go on the road and play Louisville the weekend after that.
It's their first sweep since the season opening set against James Madison, by the way.
But look, man, as bad as it's been, and it's been awful all year, nobody can get around it. Mercer's not terrible. They were 28-17 coming in. Mercer's a consistently pretty good Atlantic. I think they're an Atlantic Sun baseball program. They make the NCAA tournament pretty regularly. And that's a good series win. And what was most encouraging, I guess, if you want to be encouraged by something, was the pitching. But you look, Carson Montgomery, he pitches a scoreless first inning on Sunday. Then he gets 5 runs of support in the bottom half of the inning, and then proceeds to not get an out in the second inning and is pulled. Because, I don't know how many more coaches it's going to take to realize he is not a starter. Quit doing this. But anyway, that being said, like you mentioned, Andrew Armstrong came in and, had another really nice outing. 5 innings and only 2 hits. And this is not – you might say Mercer and be like, okay, yeah, it's not Louisville, it's not Florida. Again, in this day and age, doing this to any capable team, winning team, that's impressive. And Andrew Armstrong and Ballmeister and Whitaker especially all pitched really well. That's good. That's good, man. They all should be back next year. You're trying to find a core that you can count on. I think offensively you found it. Ross, Cam Smith, and then your two best hitters, Tibbs and Ferrer. That's a nice core group of offense. Those guys can play. I think Cam Smith has the most home runs for a freshman at Florida State since 2004. He has real power. He strikes too much swing and miss, but he's got real power. He had a home run and a triple this weekend. And then Tibbs and Ferrer are just very good, and Ross is your a prototypical leadoff guy. You've got some stuff to work with. You've got to find a core. And if nothing else, if you're mathematically eliminated, if you don't play in the postseason, which there's a very good chance they won't, especially with Wake coming into town, have something to build upon. Have some guys that you feel good about going into next year. And maybe if Baumeister and Armstrong, Baumeister and Whitaker especially, can finish this year out well, you feel pretty good about them going into next year. And then also you got that quartet of guys in the lineup that I think you're gonna you can build around. You've got to add a ton of pieces, almost most of them in the pen or on the pitching staff. But it's good to know you might have a solid core that you feel good about. Because look, man, Tibbs and Ferrer, there won't be too many better 1-2 combos in the country next year if they're both in Tallahassee.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're good, dude. Their numbers are good. They've hit ACC pitching. They've hit all year. They've been overshadowed by just the disgusting stuff that's happened on the mound, but they've been very good, and that's a really good 1-2 punch. Cam Smith is going to be even better next year.
Diamez Raz is like a prototypical leadoff guy too, and he was hurt earlier in the season. I like him a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that, man. So those are some nice pieces. So if nothing else, build upon this. Build upon, use these last, whatever it is, I think 8 games, and just, go into next year knowing you have 6 or 7 guys that you can really count on.
So the way the ACC works is there's an Atlantic, there's a Coastal, top 2 teams, or the top team in each division makes it, and then it's just the next 10 best teams. The 10th team right now is Louisville, or actually I think is Pitt at 9-13. Then it's Louisville at 9-15. Florida State's last, 6-18. But Florida State does play Louisville in the final series of the season. NC State's got 10 wins in conference. So does Georgia Tech. Louisville's got 9. So does Pitt. Florida State has 6.
But in Florida State, I wonder if they all have 2 series left. Have they all played the same amount of games? Like conference games?
Pitt hasn't. Pitt's played, looks like everyone's got 22, 23, or 23, 24. They've only played 22.
Okay, so yeah, Florida State, they at least have to get 9 to even have a chance.
Right.
Right? It sounds like what you're saying.
Yes.
And they probably have to get to 10 or 11 to have a realistic chance, because all these teams only have to win. You heard Aslan. You have so many teams with 9, some with 10. If they just go 1-5 over their next 6 games, well, that means Florida State would have to go 5-1. And again, I have to remind you, they played number 2 Wake Forest this weekend at home. So odds are, and then they go on the road to finish it up with Louisville. Odds are they're not going to go 6-0. If they go 6-0, well, that gets them to 12 wins, and they have a realistic chance. But anything short of that, even 4-2, probably wouldn't be enough. And they are not going to go 4-2. So,
that would win both series. You'd win 3 series in a row to end the season, and then fortunately that wouldn't get you anywhere, though.
Right. Something to build on, though, Aslan.
Yeah.
Something to build on.
I'll say this: don't let this team get hot and make it into the tournament, though.
That's right. That's like, did you ever see the 30 for 30 about the Red Sox when they came back from 3-0 to beat the Yankees?
Yeah, Kevin Millar. He's like,
he kept saying that, right? He's like, he was on the field before Game 4. Yeah. He's like, don't let us win tonight.
Yep.
Put us away tonight. Don't let us win tonight, because if we win tonight, then we got Schilling and Pedro going the next 2 nights. Yep. Then all of a sudden it's 3-3, and anything can happen in a Game 7. And that's exactly how it played out.
Maybe Link should play that for the guys in the clubhouse.
Well, it'd be cool if they had Manny Ramirez and Kurt Schilling and Pedro Martinez on the team too.
Big Shooter, if you're listening, put it on. Just loop it on in the clubhouse the whole time.
I was thinking about this. After the game, we were talking about guys like Nick Markakis and these professional hitters in baseball that just seem like they were born to hit. And I was like, I wonder what Chipper Jones could do in college baseball right now. I think he's like 46 years old. hasn't swung a competitive pitch in.
He's 51.
He's 51. Wow, he was that much older than me. Okay, so he hasn't probably swung at a competitive pitch. And Chipper Jones is 51.
That's
really?
what the internet says.
Yeah, he was drafted in 90. Yeah, that makes sense. So his last competitive pitch was when? When did he retire? 16? No, he retired in like
12.
2012.
Yeah. 12.
So it's been 11 years since he saw a competitive pitch. Yeah. If you put him in the 3-hole in an ACC game at 51 years old, what do you think he does for the series?
I don't know, man. He batted 287 in his last year too, man. He wasn't, they weren't putting him out to the pasture.
No, and I think he could have kept hitting. It's just his body wouldn't hold up. But I think those guys, even at 51, I'm not saying he would dominate because but I bet you he would only strike out once or twice, and he'd always barrel a ball. Yeah. It's just like, are you kidding me? Even at 51, he's like, oh, you're going to throw that 91? Really? I faced Randy Johnson. You're going to throw 91 and think I'm going to – I mean, some of these guys are just absolutely born to hit, and I think could hit well into their 50s. They just can't move, and Chipper can't move.
I think Jeff Cameron's moving. I think he's got a sore knee, apparently. I don't know what happened to our guy. I've seen in the comments last show about some kind of knee issue he might be dealing with, so hopefully he's feeling better.
Oh, I didn't know that. Jeff, come on. Our prayers up.
He'll be on the mic, though. He and Tom Lang, Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock, 93.3 FM in Tallahassee, as well as YouTube TV, or Warchant TV. It's our YouTube channel, which is totally free. I think we earned a thumbs up on YouTube, so do that. Maybe even a 5-star rating and review. Corey and I will be back with a few more shows this week, hopefully talking about Florida State landing some of these guys in the portal. But if not, Michael Langston's got you guys covered. We'll probably do a live recruiting show, Langston and myself, on Wednesday. Stay tuned for details on that. Seminole Headlines Tuesday, Corey?
Yeah, come on, buddy. Absolutely.
All right. No days off over here. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant. Thanks for Michael for hopping on. It's been Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.